Glad to have you join us on a corporate governance platform brought to you by the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN. I am Funmi Omoburiwo. ICSAN is a leading recognized professional body in Nigeria that's dedicated to enhancing status and practice of corporate governance and public administration. ICSAN is the only professional body authorized in Nigeria to conduct examinations leading to qualification of chartered secretaries and administrators. Now, on the program this morning, we want to look at importance of compliance as key in principal corporate governance. All right. Of course, moving ahead, importance of compliance as key principle of corporate governance. My guest this morning is Mr. KAYODE KETEFE. FCIS is Head of Research, ICSAN. Good morning, Mr. KETEFE.
Good morning, Funmi. I'm very glad to be here.
All right, good to have you. It's always good to have you on the show. Okay, we're going to take this message and we'll be right back.
The world is constantly evolving into a knowledge-based economy where skills and competencies constitute the lifeblood of public and corporate governance. You therefore need to empower yourself to fit into this new world by gaining basic knowledge and improving your skill set in the governance-focused disciplines. That is why every aspiring as well as practicing professional in governance field needs ICSAN.
ICSAN. What is ICSAN?
ICSAN is a leading statutorily established professional body dedicated to enhancing the status and practice of corporate governance and public administration. ICSAN members are trained as chartered secretaries and administrators.
Who are chartered secretaries and administrators?
Chartered secretaries are high-ranking governance professionals with a broad base of skills, unique amongst other professions. They are trained in law, finance, accounting, administration, strategy development, and corporate governance. In today's world, chartered secretaries and administrators discharge a wide range of duties and responsibilities, including functioning as chairmen of companies, executive directors, non-executive directors, company secretaries, risk managers, compliance managers, board evaluators, and corporate governance evaluators.
That is interesting. How then do I become a chartered secretary and administrator?
Good. Go to the Institute's website, www.icsan.org. You can also visit the National Secretariat of ICSAN at Plot 6, Elephant Cement Way, Alausa, Ikeja, Lagos, to get full information on how to become members. ICSAN, the hub of governance professionals.
All right, of course, ICSAN, the hub of governance professionals. As I said earlier, we're looking at importance of compliance as a key principle in corporate governance. All right, Mr. KETEFE, let's begin this way. When we say compliance, what does that term refer to?
Thank you very much, Funmi. The term compliance simply refers to adherence with the provisions of the law, the provisions of the regulations, as well as adherence with the provision of the corporate governance code that operates in that particular locality. It also entails compliance with global best practices on corporate governance. And not to be forgotten is that it also refers to compliance with ethical provisions. So all these collectively combined are what we refer to as the architecture of compliance in a particular socio-economic milieu. So a company has to comply with all this without exception because they collectively combine to form the framework of compliance in a given entity. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Now, why is compliance such an important issue in corporate governance?
Thank you very much. When you talk about corporate governance, let's look at the definition of corporate governance given by Sir Adrian Cadbury, the UK committee that looks into the financial aspect of corporate governance in 1992. He said, corporate governance is about the ways and manners by which an organization is directed and controlled. So the two keywords in this definition, direction and control. You give direction to the company and you control the company. We know that the managers, the directors are professionals to whom the activities, the management of an organization is entrusted. And by virtue of the fact that these are professionals, they are human beings, they are not perfect in nature, and the proclivity, or let me say the propensity for every human being to be selfish. These people, they need to be controlled in some ways. Despite the fact that they are professionals, you don't leave them to their wits and capacities on all issues. So the provisions of corporate governance idea to guide them, to orientate them towards the path of doing what is right. So the shareholders, they are the real owners of the company. The directors are the professional managers. So the real owners of the company, their interests need to be protected. So that's why the law will stipulate this and this are the way an organization should be run. The corporate governance are also there, though they may not have the force of law. At least they are a template for guiding the activities of the directors. These and these are what we prescribe that needs to be done. Now, we also have policies, that the company policies that says that make pronouncement and prescriptions and stipulations on certain aspects, as that's how the operations of the company are to be run. So all these things collectively combined, they constitute a kind of guide. So you can see that there is interconnectedness between corporate governance and compliance. Because corporate governance is just seeing how the company can be controlled, how it can be directed in such a way that the end or the objective, of the company can be realized. So in this context, talking of objective, we are talking of profitability, we are talking of sustainability. So when compliance now comes and says and stipulates that these are the things that needs to be done, stipulated by law, stipulated by corporate governance code, stipulated by ethics, so you know that they are interlinked. So compliance is an inherent part of risk management.
Okay.
Why risk management itself is an inherent part of corporate governance. You can see the...
All right. Now, talking about non-compliance, of course, you've spoken about, compliance while you were trying to answer, that the previous question. But now, talking about non-compliance, which it said that can spell doom for an organization.
Exactly.
Now, I want you to, of course, expatiate on this statement, of course, still in the context of corporate governance.
Thank you very much. I've already made some allusion to it, but let me give...
Yeah, that's why I said, expatiate a bit on it.
When we talk about compliance and the imperative of compliance by a given entity, it entails a lot of things. Non-compliance can spell doom for an organization in many respects. Let's first of all look at legal risk. What is legal risk? Legal risk are risks that you run when you, maybe out of lack of awareness, you don't adhere to provisions of the law, maybe out of sheer recklessness, you don't adhere to the provision of the law, maybe even out of sheer refusal. Maybe you are trying to hide something. Okay. So you run the legal risk, and you know the implication that follows non-compliance with legal risk. Fines, the regulators will impose fine on you, and it may be in some cases, I don't want to make reference to corporate organization, but in recent times, we know how some companies run foul of the law, and excessive imposition of fine. Let me say excessive fine that are imposed by the regulators on them. It's not a laughing matter. Apart from the issue of legal risk, even the company reputation itself, when you are known to be non-complying, it makes a lot of detraction from your credit brand. It makes a lot of detraction from your brand as a responsible corporate entity. So if the existing investors, your shareholders, they will not be, their mind will not be addressed. Some may even dispose of their shares because they know the potentials that are the risk that you are running. Even the prospective investors, if you as a person will realize that a particular organization is not sound when it comes to issue of adherence to laws, provision of the laws and regulations, you as a person will not want to invest in such company because you know that nobody wants to lose their investment. So it spells a very big doom for a corporate organization not to comply with provision of laws and orders and the rest.
All right. Now, looking at, of course, compliance, there are still some certain things I want you to explain a little bit in detail. You're talking about legal compliance, corporate governance compliance, and ethical compliance. I want you to look at each of these in detail and expatiate on it.
Theoretical expostulation. But in fact, the fact that in my explanation I've alluded to.
Yeah,
nonetheless, when you talk of legal compliance, it's straightforward. Let me use Nigeria as an example.
Okay.
The Companies and Allied Matter 2020 is the single most important corporate law in Nigeria. We have many other laws that impinge on the issue of compliance. For example, when we talk about Business Facilitation Act, Finance Act, although Bank and Other Financial Institution Act, many laws that you need to understand their provisions. Even many laws on taxes. You need to understand their provisions and design your compliance regime in such a way that you don't run foul of any of the law. So those are the things that come to that legal compliance. That is compliance with the laws and regulations. So when you talk of corporate governance or compliance, look at Nigeria Code of Corporate Governance 2018 now. The provisions, they are elaborate. By virtue of the fact that they cover virtually all important fields in corporate governance and they represent the best global practices on corporate governance. So even though they may not go into details on some issue, but I say they provide the kind of framework.
Okay.
So compliance with the provisions of the Corporate Governance Code 2018 is a must for all companies in Nigeria. So compliance that relates to the provision of a code in a particular entity, that's what we call it corporate governance compliance. It's straightforward. So when you talk of ethical compliance, this can come in two ways. Number one, it may mean by ethical policy as established by an external agent, like government, parastatal or agencies. Look, for example, now CBN may give some ethical direction, but to which all the banks and other financial institutions are meant to comply with.
Okay.
It may not necessarily be a kind of law like that, but a kind of ethics that can guide. So it may be established by external agent. It may also be established internally by the company itself. So when you deal with our customers, this is how we want you to operate. When you deal with suppliers, even among the staff interstate, so the company itself gives certain prescription as regards ethical issue, how we want you to operate. That's ethical compliance. So let me now quickly round up on this by the last statement on it that all this compliance, all these issue of compliance as I have segregated them only for theoretical purpose. We are not meant to observe one or leave the other.
Okay.
They are all meant to be
observed.
Okay.
Now, in what way will you say ICSAN is contributing to corporate compliance culture in Nigeria?
Thank you very much for that important question. ICSAN is reputed today to be the leading voice on corporate governance. So it will come as no surprise that the Institute has over the years been propagating the ideas of compliance as a bedrock of corporate governance. But It's not limited to issue of compliance alone. In virtually all areas, all principles of governance, the Institute has been leading. Has been a leading voice on this. But to be more specific on this, when you look at the professionals, the charter secretaries and governance professionals that the Institute has been providing over the years. So these come in two categories. These charter secretaries and governance professionals, they are people who work in-house.
Okay.
Like company secretaries, like managers, so this, by virtue of their training and skill and expertise, they provide guidance to their respective organizations on issue of compliance and in general term corporate governance. So another category of professionals that are those people who establish their own firms. They are members of our institute who have been licensed by an institute to establish their own firms. So this, we call them governance professional in public practice. So these people, they render wide range of corporate secretarial services to their respective clients. So you can see how the institute is providing leadership in the area of compliance. So not to be forgotten, it's also many books, compendiums, guidance notes that the institute has been producing over the years on this issue. And lastly, because of time, you know that our training institute is always, when you look at the calendar of the training institute, many teams on compliance also come up regularly. Not to be forgotten is also the fact that the institute provides consultancy services for organizations that want to. That's let me leave it at that.
Okay, great. Let's take an announcement as we try to wrap up the program.
Thank you very much. The announcement we have for our listener today is on the forthcoming 47th Annual Conference of the Institute of Charter Secretaries and Administrators. This is to inform members of the Institute's other stakeholders as well as members of the public generally that the 47th Annual Conference and Dinner of the Institute of Charter Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN, will hold on Thursday, 21st and Friday, 22nd of September, 2023. The theme of this conference is Sound Governance as a Cursor to a Thriving Economy, a Case for Inclusiveness. The theme once again is Sound Governance as a Cursor to a Thriving Economy, a Case for Inclusiveness. The venue is Shell Hall, Monson Center, Onikon, Lagos. For further inquiries on this program, that's the Institute 2023 Annual Conference and Dinner, please call Florence on 080 323 69300 080 323 69300, or you can also call Mike on 080 23 11 7969 080 23 11 7969. Thank you and have a pleasant day.
Thank you so much, Mr. KAYODE KETEFE, FCIS, Head of Research, ICSAN. And that's how we'll wrap it up this morning on Corporate Governance Platform, brought to you by the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN. We'll be back again next week, Wednesday, 10:15 a.m. on a fresh edition. I am Funmi Omoburiu. Enjoy the rest of the day.
What did you say?